follow-up, and appreciate you both talking to tax fairness, but also talking about that just taxing the rich will not be sufficient level of revenue. So in some ways, I'm balling two questions together, so hopefully you can, your tax chair, you're used to this. One is, are there other sources of revenue increases that you would see besides just the higher tax increases? And two, since these are a tough question, how do you talk about this to the public in a way in which they will also resonate?
Here's why I think I'm the strongest. Well, there's a number of reasons I'm the strongest candidate. Okay, the reason I'm here tonight is I'm the best candidate in the race. Okay, I am the best Democratic candidate on the ballot in November because I can communicate the tax message, which is where Democrats always get tripped up. We always get into trouble over taxes. Here's what I can say, is that you cannot solve Minnesota's budget problem by raising taxes alone. I am the Senate taxpayer. You cannot raise $5 billion in revenue. And we're not going to do it by reforming government or cutting spending. We have to figure out how we get this economy going and create jobs. This deficit is almost entirely a result of reduced income tax collections. You know, on January 2nd, the first Friday of the year, 228,000 people got an unemployment check in Minnesota. That is a state record. That is a record. I think I'm the strongest candidate to talk about jobs. I'm also the most credible candidate on taxes to say it's not the solution to the problem. Is it part of it? Yes.
We'll go to question 3.
Good evening. My name is Al Sevenson. I'm a Take Action Minnesota leader from South Minneapolis. I believe that racism is not just an issue of individual prejudice. Racism is the result of ongoing inequities in our systems and institutions. These inequities are passed down from generation to generation. As it states in the reNEW Minnesota vision, we commit to eradicating racism in our society today and to undoing the continued impacts of past racism. Question: what will you do as a candidate for governor to step away from tapping into people's fear and playing on the divisions in our community about race, and what is your plan to talk about race in a way that builds community and hope?
I think, well, let me include sexual preference kind of in the same question, because it's the same kind of a discrimination in my hands. Governors set the tone at the Capitol. They really set the tone. I mean, when governors call a press conference, everybody comes. And what governors say matters. Because I think the public understands that governors are where the buck stops. Governors really set the agenda. Governors get most of what they want. Even Jesse Ventura, who had no base at the legislature, party of one called himself, you know, was mad about the taxes on his Porsche, on his license tabs were too high, so the legislature reduced them. He spent $177 million reducing the cost of license tabs. He had 5 personal watercrafts. He thought the fees were too high on him. We cut the fees by about 3/4 on personal watercraft throughout the state. You all remember the Jesse checks that he wanted. There was a better investment of that money. That's what we did. He didn't like paying for schools on his cabin. Guess what? Cabins don't pay voter-approved levy on schools anymore. Governors get what they want, and governors set the tone. And I think somebody like me, you know, public opinion, you know, you get certain issues. Let me just use the issue of gay marriage as an example. How the public thinks about racism or things like gay marriage, public opinion is really important over at the Capitol. And it's about who your advocates are. And I would argue somebody like me, a big burly iron ranger, carpenter from northern Minnesota, when he stands up and takes the podium as governor and says that racial profiling is wrong, or that making discriminatory provisions based on sexual preference is wrong. That an advocate like me gets to the harder group of people in public opinion to reach. That when people maybe that lean to be a little bit more conservative see a big burly carpenter stand up and say discrimination of any kind is wrong, that reaches a different group as it relates to public opinion, and I think will bring public opinion further along in the area of more power.
Could I just add a follow-up to that then? Because I really appreciate the way your question sort of told us how you were going to set the tone as governor. So I guess my follow-up question then would be, as governor, what does your policy work around racial justice issues look like in South?
Well, I think I would have a very inclusive team that works with me, including right at the transition level. I'm a darn good Democrat, and anybody that thinks that doesn't know me very well. Just because I'm rural and happen to own some guns doesn't mean I'm not a darn good Democrat. But I just would say I will surround myself with the right people, the vision team, to make sure that we pick the right people in a governor's cabinet that sets a very inclusive tone in the policies that we bring forward to the legislature and the sensitivity that we have about issues that I think come to the forefront of public opinion.